Hey guys, Jim from Disc Golf Brah. This is day 2 of Disc Golf Brahmas, Vlogmas, whatever you want to call it. We got a very special guest for you today, but before we get into that, let's roll that semi-professional intro. Here we go. All right, guys, thanks for joining us today. Our special guest needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. Eric McCabe, world champion disc golfer, course designer. The list goes on and on. EMAC, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's winter finally, and it's definitely showing out there. It's cold. It's cold outside.
If you're not familiar with our kind of history, we started this EMAC Ace run, and you were cool enough to kind of put that on blast and put up a reward. And I just want to thank you for that because that really kind of catapulted and made us realize that we were doing something cool and meaningful. So thanks for that.
Oh, absolutely. It was a blast. And then obviously getting to come out and meet you guys in person and getting the EMAC the Truth Serum beer and doing all that. The promotion behind that was fun. And yeah, it's been great. You guys are killing it, man. I'm telling you. You're the next big thing.
We're trying. If you haven't seen it, go on EMAC's page. We did a round at Maple Hill with Carly Sharon and Marky Chap. I filmed that round, and you guys did triples. That was a lot of fun, so definitely go check that out.
Absolutely.
All right, well, the main event, why we brought you on here, obviously you're course designer, incredible. But what I think we want to know, two kind of parts. I want your top 5 courses of all times and your top 5 courses that you've designed. Before we get into that, though, what in your mind makes a good disc golf course? What makes a bad disc golf course?
So, for a good disc golf course, in my opinion, is there's a lot that goes into it, not just every hole being an amazing hole. If it's a private course, it's how is the course maintained, right? I have no issues paying. I'll pay whatever it costs to go play a course, assuming it's maintained, right? So I don't want to see trash on the course. The grass should be cut, whatever the case may be. But those are kind of the little things that people don't think a lot about, and extra amenities like benches go a long way. Quality products, just all of that, depending on where you're at. It doesn't have to be a true championship level course to make my favorite list, as you'll probably find out here on my list. Not all of my courses are true championship level courses. Not even all my courses that I've designed are going to be true championship level courses. So, but yeah, that's a little bit that goes into what goes into a good quality course, in my opinion.
Trash cans too, right? You got to have trash cans. Those are super important.
Have to. I mean, that's, every other hole is great, but if you just can only have a couple out there, that's better than none, because I hate to see that. That's how your trash builds up on your course. Most people, they'll go that extra length if you have trash cans out there to make sure that they find the receptacles. So.
And a lot of courses by us are just run by, locals volunteering their time. So we always want to, thank everyone that does all that stuff.
Yep, definitely. 100%. So do you want to just get right into my courses?
Yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and...
all right. Now, should I count backwards from like 5 to 1?
Yeah,
okay.
I like that.
All right. So my number 5, and this one is a little biased, I guess, potentially, but it is the Reserve at Meier Lake. It's a course that I did design, so spoiler alert, it'll be on my other list as well. But it's truly my favorite place. Like, it's honestly, in the summertime, my favorite place to be, ever. Like, it's just... So the story there is a few years ago, I was called to come up and design a course in Alaska, which was... I'd never been to Alaska, I didn't know what to expect, but went up there and ended up... The people that run the resort that hired me to come out, we ended up becoming like best friends. It's kind of like summer camp, right? When you're a kid and you meet these kids and you see them every year. Well, that's been what it's like. We go up there every year. I think the last couple of years I've gone up twice just to check the course out. And it's one of those courses that I've put a lot of heart into, because anytime I'm there, I hop in the skid steer and start doing some work if it needs it, So Alaska, man, I can't say enough good things about the state of Alaska, the disc golf up there, and Meier Lake, dude. Like,
looks incredible.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
And
I'll talk a little more about it, obviously, on my next list. But yeah, it's fantastic.
Biggest question on my end, though, how good is the fishing up there? Because that's super important. It's got to be good.
Oh, it's so good. Like, it's... So Matt Sedgwick, a buddy of mine from here at DD, who does the hot stamping, I'm sure you've worked with him.
Oh, yeah.
Him and his wife went up there, and we went to we got a salmon trip where we paid for someone to take us out and try to catch some king salmon. And the guy was a disc golfer, which was pretty rad. And he told us, it's not really the best kind of time of year to be doing this, but we'll make it happen. Let's see what we can do. We ended up catching 2 king salmon that day and bringing them home. And it was amazing. It was the first time I ever tried fly fishing. Fishing's great, dude. It's Alaska. Come on, like there's so much to do up there. It's amazing.
It sounds like it can't get any better than that. So your 4 through number 1 must be out of this world.
Exactly right. So my number 4 is, if you've played this course, it's probably on your list of courses, and it's Maple Hill. Like, it's Maple Hill, right? When I first started playing disc golf, I would get these DVDs, right? And I had no idea what this tournament was, but it was the MSDGC. And Steve Dodge did all the commentary on it. I think he did all the producing of it. Like, he did it all, right? And I remember watching this course, these layouts, and thinking, man, this place is sick. Like, I'm just a Kansas boy, so I'm not used to these woods. I want to check out this golf. And, one of the first years I went up there, I think it was the very first ever Vibram Open, I think is what it was, 2008, maybe 7. So it's been a while. And it succeeded everything that I'd ever dreamed, right? Because it was just, I don't know, there's something about Maple Hill. If you've been there, right? If you know, you know. But it's a fantastic course, bunch of different layouts that you can play, and Steve does a fantastic job. Every year he's working on something, changing something, and that's something I'd like to get into too, maybe on the courses I've designed. But a good quality course is always evolving. Right? Sure. You're always doing some tweaks. We do that here in Emporia at the country club every year. We do some tweaks here and there. If it's a hole we look at from a tournament, let's say this hole was parred by 90% of the field. Well, we either need to make it easier or harder, call it a par 4. And that's something that Steve has always done, is just those minor, manipulations to the course. And I think he does a fantastic job with it in Maple Hill, dude. Like, it's Maple Hill.
Incredible. I was just going to ask you, since your first time there, how has the course evolved? I mean, all the holes I'm sure have changed, but are any that are still very original today?
So from my first year, like the hole 1 and 18 were both pretty much the same as they are now. I think the course pretty much flowed the same direction from then to now. There's a few tweaks here and there, but for the most part, it's flowed the same way. I know hole 1 didn't tuck into the woods. It was on the outside of the woods before he did the little cutout island inside the woods, which,
great hole.
I mean, and the sport's evolving, right? People are throwing a lot further, and that hole just became the easiest par 4 in the world for these players, to just throw it as far as you can and have a little pitch up shot, where now you got to hit a small landing zone in order to have a look at the green, to hit that postage stamp green, to have your look at birdie, And, I remember the last time, I think it might have been the last time or maybe the time before I played a tournament at Maple Hill, I started with a snowman on that hole because I was way left on my second shot and said, I'm going for the green. I'm going through this. I could hit this gap. Well, when you don't hit that gap and then you got to do that again, that's when the wheels start to fall off, and that's hole number 1. But I think that round I took an 8 on the first hole and still ended up shooting even or under par that round, so I was very happy with that. So I have a lot of great memories from Maple Hill.
That's why you're a world champ. I shoot snowmans on every hole, winter, summer, all year around there. Great course.
It is fantastic.
So Maple Hill's number 1 on UDisc in the world, right? So if that's your number 4, these 3 through 1, what do we got?
Yep. And like we talked about earlier, it's not necessarily going to be championship level courses, right? But my number 3 is the Redwood Curtain in Arcata, California, out on the West Coast. Humboldt University is the school that this course sets on. It's on the campus. It's on the back half of the campus. And this was just a random, so cool story. Back in whatever year Worlds was in Portland, we flew out there, and Thomas Ekstrom, who is like the genius at Latitude 64, was there. And him and his wife were there, and me and Denise were there, and we were driving home, and he needed a ride back to Emporia. Well, Portland, Oregon's not that close to Emporia, Kansas, but we all piled in my element and started the drive south, and we hit up the Redwood Curtain. So my first experience of playing the Redwood Curtain was with Thomas Ekstrom, which probably adds a little bit of, star points for the course because you get to play with a legend like that. And It's just there's just something about being in nature and being in the true woods. Like I realized they had a fire at one point and they've lost a lot of the big, huge, massive redwoods, but there's still some big, massive trees on this property. I mean, hole number 2 is a stump that you climb up the stump and tee off from a redwood stump. Like that's
I've
just
seen that.
it's just cool, right? And like that's what I guess my thought process went into when I was making this list was it doesn't have to be a championship level course. It doesn't have to be a course that everybody's played or everybody loves. It just has to be something that I enjoy. And if I had that course in my backyard, you can guarantee it I'd be on it every single day.
It's crazy to think about other courses around college, like Winthrop University. We have one in Connecticut that I love. Something about being around a university too that just makes it special, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely right. So, number 2, we're going across the seas. We're going to Sweden. Jarva. Jarva was number 1 rated course, I believe, for a while. Yep. There's been some threats of it getting taken out. I don't know if it's in the ground now currently, but if you ask any of the players that were on tour from my day that went to Sweden, went to Europe and played, Jarva is 100% on their top 5 list because there's just something about going to Europe and playing disc golf where, 10, 15 years ago when we were doing that, the sport there, they were treating the sport like it is now here, right? Like they were treating it like it was a true professional sport, like you mattered. You're a big deal. You came all the way from America to be here. Like, here, have my house. I don't know who you are, but here's the keys to my car. Like, all this kind of stuff. And that kind of just adds to it, right? The level of professionalism that they really treated the sport, Europeans in Sweden and in Finland. But Jarva itself, like, there's a couple different layouts out there I know that we've played over the years, but the, Scandinavian Open or European Masters, I think was the name of the tournament, which the Masters it wasn't an age protected thing then, it was just the name of the event. And that layout was amazing. I mean, there's great elevation, birch trees, it was just phenomenal. Just such good golf. If you're ever in Sweden, which if you're in Sweden, you're going there for something, right? Like, but people that have played it know 100% what I'm talking about with Jarva. It's amazing.
Yeah, I always hear, rumors about European disc golf culture and how amazing it is. I get little senses of that at Maple Hill that it's like, disc golf is like bigger than life sometimes, and I've heard in Europe it's like that all the time. So I would love to make it out there.
Oh, 100%. And when you go out there, you can play my number 2 course, and then you can go right up the road and play my number 1 course, which is in Skelleftea, which is where Latitude 64 is. It's disc golf Terminalen. It's by far the best course I've ever played. It is a championship level course, but it's a complex, right? I think it's 4 courses, maybe 5 if you count the championship level course. And the championship level course is the one I'm talking about being my favorite. Hole 1 starts out as a par 6. It's a true par 6. And if you're a Trilogy fan back in the day, you would remember the Albatross River. Well, that's where this came from. The namesake came from this hole. Somebody threw in their 3rd or 4th shot for an albatross, and it was a river that they threw in, so they came up with that signature disc, and it's amazing. Like I said, there's 6 different layouts. I spent some time there. We played the Scandinavian Open there one year, and we were up there the year before at Latitude doing some work stuff, and we got to stay on the course. And it was in the middle of June or July where the sun never goes down. So we could go out and play at 2 o'clock in the morning if we wanted, whatever layout we wanted. And I was out there with Bobby Brown. And it was me, Bobby Brown, Devin Owens, throwback name, and David Felberg. We all stayed there. We all did media for the course for the following year. Wow. And we played a tournament, and it was called I think it was the 81 disc challenge, 81 hole challenge or something like that, where we played 81 holes in a day. And it was my favorite experience. It was honestly probably aside from my world championship, the favorite tournament I've ever won, because I ended up, it was a shorter layout for the final day that we're playing, and I was just trying to ace every single hole, because I wanted a Swedish ace.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got to my very last hole, the very like 81st hole of the tournament, turned to my group and said, "Hey, it's my last chance for a Swedish ace." And I aced. And it was just like, what? Like, it's insane. Like, you can't write that in a book, right? Like, it was awesome. It was a great experience. And obviously being there, I think you ask a lot of people what their favorite course is, and a lot of it is going to not just be on how good quality the course is, but how much fun you have playing that course and your memories from each course that you've played. So that's my
100%.
top five.
Amazing top five. Yeah, I always think that courses are so emotional to me and why I like them differently. A lot of people dislike the courses I like, but it's all about emotions and time
Yeah.
spent with friends. And like that sounds like the best day ever playing all
Oh
those
yeah,
courses.
dude. It was a blast. It was. I mean, I think we started at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I think we were done at like midnight or something like that. So it was
Jeez.
cool. It was great.
In- Incredible. That's a great list. That's going to be tough to beat. So
Yeah,
many good courses.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
Cool. Well, let's hop right into my designed courses then.
Let's hop in.
So I think my current number right now is, oh man, 70 something and 27 states or something like that, and Canada. So I've got a lot of courses that I've designed that are either, still in the works, or they're still doing some maintenance or whatever the case may be. But this is my top five courses I've designed that I've been honored to be a part of. We'll start at five again. My number five is in Ruidoso, New Mexico. It's Moon Mountain, and Everett Brophy is a team member of ours, and he now owns Dynamic Discs New Mexico, which is one of our branch stores over there. And he had reached out to me and wanted me to come check out this property, and I went out there and looked at it, and it's Moon Mountain. It's a legit mountain. Like, it is a true mountain. It's mountain golf. So like, don't go there expecting, just an easy walk in the park. It's a big course. I think when we put the course in, hole 17 was the longest hole in the state of New Mexico. And I don't recall exactly how far it was, but it's this big old par five, and a lot of elevation, lots of really cool trees, lots of really cool wildlife, which I absolutely love on a course. And just can't say enough great things about Moon Mountain. It plays as a true championship level course, and we had a big scare this last summer, where fires were ripping through the area, and it ripped right through the middle of this course. And thankfully, it just kind of took out all the underbrush, and it didn't really burn up too many of the trees, at least any impactful trees. So it sounds like the course is in good shape and good to go. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. The pictures you sent look incredible. What do you think it is about elevation, like courses that have a lot of elevation, that just makes it so much fun?
I mean, who doesn't love throwing downhill? Like, just there's a hole there at, like any course that has elevation. It's the unload the bag hole, right?
Yeah.
It's where you just sit there and just unload your bag entirely down the hill. And there's just something special about being able to throw off a big hill, a big mountain down, a 600-700 foot hole that you can reach, right? There's just something about that. The kicker there is, you got to get to the top of that hill. So you got to
Exactly.
play up there to get down. So it's kind of the reward. It's toward the end of the round, so it's the reward of playing up this crazy mountain, and the reward is you get to launch some frisbees down.
There's something fun about throwing an upshot, and if you make one slip, you're falling all the way down the mountain and
Oh,
might
for
break
sure.
something.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't break anything. You'll be good to go.
All right, number 4. What do we got?
Number four, North Bluff in Gladstone, Michigan, which is in the UP of Michigan. This was one. Escanaba and Gladstone are kind of like sister towns. They're kind of right next to each other. And the city of Escanaba is actually the organization, the club, the city, whatever, that reached out to me to come out and design a course. And it just happened to work out that Gladstone, the neighboring city, had the better property for the course at that time. It's at a complex, like there's baseball fields there. It's on a ski hill. It's a man-made ski hill where the last like 6 holes play all on the ski hill. And it's just beautiful. It's one of those that they went and they did the work, right? We had true disc golf passionate people out there cutting trees, and I think that's key to putting that heart and soul into the design and into the construction of the course, right? Because you know what they want, they know what they want,
Right.
and there's just a little bit more umph that goes into it, I guess, than just a city worker on a tractor cutting through trees, right? There's a little bit more love that goes into it, and this course is special. There's two tee pads on every single hole. There's two baskets on every single hole, so there's like 4 layouts that you can play at any given time on this piece of property. And like I said, the last 4 to 6 holes are all on the ski hill, so that's closed in the winter, but everything else is open, so you can still play the other. I think it's a 27, 24 hole course, so you still have all this other property that you can go out and play on, So Gladstone, I don't know if you've ever been up to the UP before, but it's pretty special up there.
Got to make it up there for sure. Yeah, there's something about playing a course at like a resort or around other things like a field and stuff. I love going to a course in the middle of nowhere, but I also love being at courses that are next to a brewery or, next to fields and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. And there's a pretty cool brewery, what's it called? The Uper, I think is what it's called. That's what they call the Upper Peninsula is the Uper, and they have a pretty good brewery there that kind of reminds me of the brewery that we worked with.
Cool.
Black Hog. So So anytime you have brews and beers and disc golf involved, and you have a brewery that's really legit, wanting to help grow the sport, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
So
love it. All right, number 3.
Number 3 is close to here in Emporia, Kansas. It's about an hour and a half down the road. It's the farm at Quail Valley in Winfield, Kansas. This one is the number 1 rated course on UDisc in Kansas. And I can't remember what it is in the country. It's up there. It's pretty decent, but it's not a championship level course. The property didn't allow for a true championship level course, but there's legit par 4s on the course. There's really challenging par 3s. It's a private pay to play. It's a wedding venue is what it is initially. And it just worked out perfect. There's a big water wheel right there, that an old working water wheel. There's another area of the property that's it has a dynamite shack where they used to keep dynamite for the rock quarry that's over hole 16, 15. There's an apple orchard that has like long tunnel shots. Like, it's just got a little bit of everything. It has a lot of great character. And one of the really cool things is when you first pull in, it screams Kansas and it screams the farm when you see the John Deere parked right out front with a basket wedged in the hood, right? I mean, it's rad. It's just one of those other unique style courses that, Tyson has done a lot of great things for the sport of disc golf. He has his own tour now where he travels around and runs events throughout the state and ventures off into Missouri and Oklahoma and Missouri, Oklahoma, and some in Nebraska, I believe. But the farm, great thing. Can't say enough great things about it. I've got a lot of content about the farm out there. I've gone there a handful of times. I've done a lot of videos down there. I think one of our most recent ones was a Veterans for Vets that we did where it snowed the night before. And there was like 6 inches of snow on the ground and we're battling out there. And it was just a lot of fun. And there's just a lot of character, and every hole has, like, there's not one hole on the course that's like, man, this is kind of a filler hole, isn't it? And there's nothing like that out there. It's one of those you put on your bucket list if you're traveling through small town Kansas that you definitely want to go play.
It's definitely on my list. And now, before we get into 2 and 1, when people are looking for you to design a course, they usually reaching out to you, or do you find properties that, or I guess it's a mix of all of that, right?
It's a mix. It's a good mix. I'd say the majority of the stuff that I've done up until now has been mainly through our Dynamic Discs website, that they can reach out and ask for quotes on baskets, equipment, tee signs, course design. Not a lot of me going out and finding property. Mainly, I would love to do it. I just don't have had the time with, I don't do the team management stuff anymore as I once did. But now I've got the college deal that I'm working with, the kids, the students, and that keeps a lot of my time. Course design keeps another big portion of my time. So I'm just a very busy person, actually, and I don't know how I find time to do all this stuff, but I would love to be able to go out and find property and work with cities and, look at UDisc and say, hey, this city doesn't have a disc golf course. Let's see what we can do. But majority of it has been reaching out to us through the course design website.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time again a lot. Let's get into number 2 and number 1.
Number 2 is a course that I am. Oh, I cannot wait for this course. It's not officially done yet, and it made my top 5. That should tell you how good of a course this is going to be. And spoiler alert, after the course goes in and gets played more and more, it could bump number 1 down a spot. We'll see. We'll see. But it's in Lenexa, Kansas. And this is one that we haven't really talked about yet. Like that I've put out some spoiler alerts here and there on my Instagram page about a course property I'm working on, and a lot of people know. A lot of people in the area know about it, and some people have even gone out and walked the course. And I went up there 2 days ago, actually, just to do some surveying, checking out things. We're putting in one more pin on a hole. So all the tee pads are poured, all the baskets are poured. They're just not in the ground yet. And it's Black Hoof Park is the name of it, for those wondering. I'm not dragging that on. But so this was a true wooded course, and the city of Lenexa wanted a championship level course. That's what they wanted. They wanted to bring events to town. They wanted to do all this. They built a massive parking lot for this because parking was already an issue. So they built a huge parking lot. They put in a junior 9-hole course for like a warm-up. They let me go in and just design this course from scratch, and they really didn't have any like, hey, you can't do this, don't do that, just your basic stuff. And it's all wooded. Like 95% of it is like thick cedar wood, or like that's the beauty of this course. There's like 3 different sections that kind of make up 6 different holes of cedar wood, a little more open woods, and then just dense woods, right? So it's really unique in that regard, and 10,000 feet is what they wanted through the woods. And that is big. That's big. And we got it. We did it. And there's much like the course in Michigan, there's 2 tees on every hole. There's going to be 2 baskets on every hole. There's a couple par 5s on the course that have 3 baskets and 3 tee pads on the hole. So you can kind of make up your own course if you want. They're all color coordinated. So you can go out and play the tips. Longs to longs is about 10,000 feet. And I think shorts to shorts is somewhere around the 5,000 feet, in that range. So it's really a huge variety of holes that you can go out there and play. So like if you're a beginner, you won't be scared away, right? You can go out there and play a shorter layout and have a good time. But one really cool thing that the city did was thick woods. Keep that in mind. Dense woods. They went through and cut these fairways out under my supervision, basically, with a tree auger and like a skid steer with a tree eater on the front of it, and just took everything down. And then one of the last times I was out there, it was still, the fairways were cut, but the rough was still rough. The ground was just full of like debris and, thick wood and all that. And they went through and mulched all that into nothing, and then planted seed on every single hole and put straw down on every single hole. And there's grass growing in these woods. I went there yesterday or 2 days ago, like I said, and my mind was blown. My mind was absolutely blown by the amount of work, just the vision that the city of Lenexa had that shared my vision of the course. They wanted the biggest and best, and I think they got it. I really do. I'm really excited for this spring. We're going to do an official grand opening. We don't want a lot of people out there now, mainly because the fresh grass, right? You have a bunch of people out there. You put baskets in the ground right now, that grass is going to get shredded, and you're going to have erosion issues, et cetera, et cetera. So they kind of wanted to have a firm base down before a lot of traffic goes out there. But if you are in Kansas City, feel free to go out there and just walk it and just check it out, because I'm stoked on this course, dude. I can't say enough positive things about Black Hoof. It's going to be sick.
I might have to head out there tomorrow. I got to check my schedule.
Yeah, come on out. I'll pick you up at the airport. No problem.
That sounds sick.
Yeah.
Before we get into number 1, quick question for you. Do you have a favorite part of designing? Are you super into like a certain part of it, like tee pad placement, baskets, course maintenance, or anything in general?
I think my favorite part of course design is when it's all coming together. That aha moment of finding hole number 1, finding hole number 18, and then the 16 holes in between. Right? And when all of it kind of comes together, sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't. But you got to have a starter and a finisher that ends somewhere close to headquarters or parking lots, whatever. And just when it all finally comes together and you start to envision it, kind of like Black Hoof right now. You know, it's coming together. We're finally starting to see it. And probably one of my favorite things about course design is the ribbon cutting at the event, because that means we're done. Everything's in the ground. We're cutting that ribbon. We're doing an event. We're having press. We're having people go out and play it and just have a great time. That's probably my favorite part.
I'm picturing you cutting the ribbon with like an oversized chainsaw.
Yep.
And just like.
Oh yeah, 100%. Or the massive scissors. I'll use a lot of those massive scissors as well. So I do collect the ribbons too, and I have usually every time I've done it, we've had the mayor of that town come out, and I have him sign it, and I sign it, and I put the date, the course, and I stash it away. So I have a plethora of ribbon in one of my dresser drawers at home. That's just all from courses I've designed. It's kind of cool.
I'll have to see that. It's sick.
Yep.
All right. Well, this is it. Number one.
Yeah. Number one. So we've talked about it already. Meier Lake, the reserve at Meier Lake. It's in Hatcher Pass. Is technically the name of the city that it's in. It's about 40 minutes north of Anchorage. Fantastic layout. The course is awesome. The amenities are even better. They have cabins on property. They have a kitchen on property. It's like summer camp, like I mentioned earlier, right? Go out there in the middle of June, and if you're staying in the cabins, go out for a midnight round and play around a disc golf. You know, we've been going out every year and hosting events, the Meier Lake Classic every single year, and we do the Battle Under the Midnight Sun, which is a C tier, Flex Start C tier that we run basically till 10 o'clock at night. Is like one of the last tee times that you can go out at 10 p.m. and go get a sanctioned round in, right? I mean, it's just different. It's like a whole different animal up there coming from the lower 48 to up there. This is something that people in Alaska are used to, right? This is like a Tuesday for them. But for us, it's just something special. And not to mention there's so much other stuff to do up there as a traveler going there and just checking out the area. There's a lot of fun stuff to do in the city around it. And this coming up year is going to be very special. We got word that we are changing it from the Meier Lake Classic to the Alaska State Championships, and it's going to be an A tier. So we're doing an official A tier at Meier Lake. We're going to hopefully open registration here in the next couple of weeks. We're going to have some more information about the event. You should put it on your radar there, Jim. I'm telling you.
If you need a film crew.
Up. Dude, I'm telling you. Like, it's sick. There's cabins on property. Just phenomenal course. I can't say enough good things. The course has taken 5 years, 4 years, 4.5, 5 years to get complete because of how short the summers are. So you think about it, October, it's snowing up there already. So you can't get heavy equipment into the woods because of how soft the ground gets and all that. And you don't really want to do much in the winter because of the 12 feet of snow and the 30 below degree zero weather, whatever. But so like May is still a little too wet to get in there. June is kind of when you can start to get in there doing work. And that only leaves you a couple months to get in there and do work on the course. So even this last year when I went up a week before the event and I was helping pour tee pads. Like I was out there actually digging holes and pouring concrete and finishing them and pouring new baskets and doing all that fun stuff. And like I said, hopping on the skid steer and clearing fairways. And, you know, Mother Nature takes over, right? If you let Mother Nature take over,
oh yeah,
well, it's twice as bad up there. It's crazy how bad it can just take over if you don't stay on top of it. But Mike and Marissa, the owners basically out there, are fantastic people. They've become me and Denise's best friends, honestly. And if I could pick anywhere to, you know, you have the snowbirds. If you could snowbird anywhere, I'm picking Alaska. Like, I want to live there at Meier Lake. That's my dream, is to be able to just live there for like June, July, August, September, and then come back home, right? I would be all in on that. That would just be phenomenal because there's just so much good times that happen up there. And, you know, we do the lake plunge every year. There's a massive lake, obviously. It's Meier Lake, so we have the dock tee pad. It's a floating dock. That's hole 17. That's pretty legit. Denise, 2 years ago, went out and aced that hole during the tournament, which was freaking rad. I got it on video, or one of our friends got it on video, and I shared it out. But, yeah, you got the dock tee. You've got one hole with double stack baskets on it as well. Yep.
Just looks like a happy place. Like that's
It
where you
is.
want to go. It's green and like happy.
It is 100% happy. And, I saw my first moose on the course when I was designing it, which
Same.
was imitating for sure. Imitate. It's not imitating. It was, so I'm trying to think of the process of how it worked. So Denise and I were there. She went out and helped me design this property, right? She went to Alaska with me. She walked the woods with me, and we were walking through the woods, and they had told me, hey, if you see a moose, hide behind trees. If you see
Yeah, they're no joke.
a black bear, just be loud, be super loud. If you see a grizzly, play dead. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to play dead. I'm not going to be able to play dead. But it was very intimidating to see the moose in the
They're
woods.
huge.
They're massive. We saw one. We went to Anchorage one day and played a course at Kincaid, which is a fantastic course in Alaska. I think it might be ranked number one in Alaska potentially. It's fantastic. It's a beautiful course. There's always a bear on the course somewhere, but there's always a moose on the course somewhere too. But we saw this massive moose just walking down the street like it was no big deal, and we were in a smaller car. And if you hit a moose in a smaller car, forget it,
Done.
dude. It's crushing you.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. They also mentioned that there are more deaths by human from moose than bear, which another thing that blew my mind to hear that stat. It's like, really? I would never
Isn't
thought,
that
but you think
crazy?
about it, they have their babies and they're gonna
Yep.
they'll beat you, they'll stomp you. They will stomp you. But
Very much like hippos. They're very much like you think they're cute and
yeah,
cuddly, but they're nuts.
they're not. They're definitely not. They're definitely not. But they're a beautiful animal, and I mean bald eagles. I love birds. It's one of my other passions. I saw a golden eagle when I was up in Alaska for the first time. Bald eagles are like pigeons up there. You see them everywhere. It's insane. It's just go to Alaska. Make
Yeah,
sure you go to Meier Lake for the Alaska State Championships in July. I can give you the exact date.
I'll be
It's going
there.
to be July.
14th is my birthday.
It is July 14th. July 14th, 15th, 16th. Happy
We'll be there.
birthday, Jim. Let's go to Alaska. Make
Well,
it
those
happen.
are two incredible lists. Last question: is there anything, obviously, us as players or viewers as players, can anything that you recommend that we can do as players of the course to help maintain it, like tips just to keep the course in good condition to make your job easier?
Yeah, and this isn't necessarily to make my job easier, but I think not breaking branches on trees, going about the right way of if you see a branch that's broken or dead, go about it the right way. I know a lot of cities are different if they
Yep.
allow players or clubs to come in and do some maintenance on the course. I know in Emporia, they don't want us doing anything. Like if we see a broken tree, we need to call somebody to come fix it. So just make sure you're aware of the situation there, and we don't need any more dischargers on benches or, we don't need your signatures on baskets. On the post is fine. I know a lot of people have gone to the post where you can sign the post. I think that's great. And just respect it, right? Just respect the course. A lot of people put a lot of hard work into getting these courses in the ground, and just respect it is really all I can say. If you bring
Yep.
trash in, make sure you take that stuff right out. If you find a disc, try to find the owner. It's about being a good human. Let's be honest. It's really all it is.
That's all it is. We have a lot of snow on the tee pad, obviously, by us in Connecticut, and that's always a big one, not to play on the snow, and, there's so many things like that.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
All right, well, I can't thank you again for your time. EMAC, this has been great. 2 awesome lists for you guys to all go check out. I would check out all of them, play them multiple times.
Please.
Any last kind of shout-outs or anything you want to nod off to before we close out?
Not that I can think of. Not off the top of my head. Thank you, obviously, Disc Golf Brah for doing some big things this year. Good luck with the what'd you call it? Not the Vlogmas. You called it the
Disc Golf Brahmas.
Disc Golf Brahmas. I love it. Man, I know I tried a weekly video during COVID, and that was challenging, let
Every day.
alone daily.
Well, this one was
daily.
super easy and the most enjoyable so far. So
Well, I
thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you so much. Make sure you guys are subscribed to Disc Golf Bra if you're not already, because I love their content. They're doing some big things, sponsoring some really great players and great individuals, and I'm excited for the future for Disc Golf Bra.
Same. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. Eric, hope to talk to you soon. Guys, we'll see you in the next one tomorrow, day 3.